We do it out of habit. We do it when we pass a church, when we hear a siren, or right before we eat. It takes less than 2 seconds. Up, down, left, right. It's the most common gesture in Christianity. But here is the terrifying and beautiful truth. If you could see what is actually happening in the invisible world when you make that sign, you wouldn't do it casually. You would do it with trembling hands. Because according to the mystics, according to the men and women who were given the terrifying gift of seeing beyond the veil, that simple movement of your hand doesn't just cut through the air. It rips through the spiritual atmosphere. It creates a shield. It summons a guard. And for the forces of darkness, it is something akin to a nuclear event. Today, we are going to look through the eyes of the 20th century's greatest mystic, Saint Padre Pio, to understand why this simple gesture is actually the most dangerous weapon you own. To understand this, you have to realize that for Padre Pio, the spiritual world wasn't a metaphor. It wasn't an idea. It was his living room. Francesco Forgione, the man the world calls Padre Pio, lived with one foot in Foggia, Italy, and the other foot squarely in eternity. This was a man who didn't just pray about the passion of Christ. He physically bled it. For 50 years, he bore the stigmata, open, bleeding wounds on his hands, feet, and side. Science couldn't explain them. They wouldn't heal. They wouldn't get infected. And they smelled like roses. But the wounds were just the visible part. The invisible part was a constant, brutal warfare. Pio's letters describe nights of physical combat with demonic forces. He wasn't fighting vague, bad thoughts. He was fighting entities that wanted to destroy him, and in that terrifying darkness, he learned what works. He learned that you don't fight spiritual battles with complex arguments. You fight them with signs of power. And the ultimate sign was the cross. So let's freeze time. Let's slow down those 2 seconds where you touch your forehead and your chest. And let's look at the molecular spiritual reality of what is happening, based on the tradition that men like Pio lived in. Imagine you are walking down the street. You are carrying the weight of the day, stress, fear, maybe a sudden temptation or a memory that hurts. You are spiritually vulnerable. Then you decide to act. You raise your right hand. The moment your fingers touch your forehead and you say, "In the name of the Father," you are recalibrating your existence. You are touching the seat of your intellect, your brain, the place where anxiety lives, and you are placing it directly under the authority of the Creator of the universe. You are saying, "This mind is not mine to worry with. It is yours to command." Then your hand drops, a vertical line. And of the sun, you touch your heart. This isn't just geometry. It's theology in motion. You are tracing the path of the incarnation, God coming down from heaven to earth. You are marking your heart, the center of your emotions and your lifeblood, with the sign of the one who died for it. You are claiming the victory of Calvary over your own chest. Then, the horizontal bar, from the left shoulder to the right, and of the Holy Spirit. You are wrapping your strength, your action, your ability to move and work in the power of the Sanctifier. You are sealing yourself. Spiritual tradition describes what happens next in stunning detail. As that cross is formed, a light is kindled. It is described as a shield, not a metaphor, but a spiritual barrier. The angels, who are always present but often ignored, are said to draw nearer to the soul that marks itself with this sign. Why? Because you have just identified yourself. In a world that is a battlefield, you have just raised the flag of the King. You have declared, loud and clear in the silence of the Spirit, "I belong to Christ." And the darkness, the shadows that Padre Pio fought so viscously, they recoil. Tradition holds that the demonic cannot stand the geometry of the cross. It burns. It reminds them of the moment of their ultimate defeat. When you make the sign of the cross, you aren't just blessing yourself. You are exorcising the space around you. You are pushing back the chaos. You are bringing order to the spiritual atmosphere. Padre Pio knew this. He lived this. He didn't view the sign of the cross as a ritual. He viewed it as a lifeline, but he also knew something else, something that we often forget. He knew that the power of the sign isn't magic. It's faith. A sign of the cross made without thinking is like a sword that stays in its sheath. It might be there, but it's not doing anything. But a sign of the cross made with intent? That makes hell tremble. And it's not just about protection, it's about rewriting reality. There is perhaps no greater proof of this than the story of Gemma de Giorgi. This is where the theology hits the pavement. 1939. Christmas Day. A little girl named Gemma is born, but the joy turns to horror when the doctors examine her eyes. She has no pupils. This is crucial to understand. She wasn't just blind, she lacked the biological hardware to see. It is physically, medically impossible to see without pupils. Darkness was her destiny. 7 years later, her grandmother, a woman of ferocious faith, takes Gemma on a journey to San Giovanni Rotondo to see the friar with the wounds. They are desperate. They meet Padre Pio. The encounter is brief. He hears the grandmother's confession, and then he does something simple. He doesn't perform surgery. He doesn't chant. He simply makes the sign of the cross over the child's eyes. Later, Gemma receives her first Holy Communion from Padre Pio's own scarred hands. And that is when everything changed. The little girl who had lived in darkness began to describe things. She saw the train. She saw the sea. She saw her grandmother's face. The doctors were baffled. They examined her again and again. And here is the paradox that breaks the rational mind. Gemma could see perfectly, but she still had no pupils. The doctors confirmed it. She was seeing without the physical mechanism to see. What happened there? The sign of the cross, made by a saint, didn't just fix her eyes. It bypassed the laws of nature entirely. It imposed the reality of the kingdom of heaven onto the brokenness of earth. It crossed out the blindness and wrote in the light. That is the power we are talking about. The same power that raised Christ from the dead is invoked every single time you trace that shape over your body. So how do we stop wasting this power? How do we stop treating a weapon like a habit? We have to relearn it. We have to do what the early Christians did. Tertullian, writing in the 3rd century, said that Christians wore their faith on their foreheads. At every step, at every coming in and going out, when putting on shoes, at the baths, at the tables, when lighting the lamps, they made the sign. They lived inside it. Here is your challenge. The next time you make the sign of the cross, stop. Do not rush. Take 1 second to breathe. When you touch your forehead, feel the weight of your own existence being handed over to the Father. When you touch your heart, feel the love of the Son who bled for that heart. When you touch your shoulders, feel the Holy Spirit clothing you in power. Make it large. Make it deliberate. Don't whisper it. Proclaim it with your body. Use it when you wake up to arm yourself for the day. Use it when you eat to sanctify the fuel for your body. Use it when fear grips your stomach. Use it when you walk into a room that feels heavy. You are not just moving your hand. You are wielding a sword. You are raising a shield. You are marking yourself as a child of the light in a world that is desperate for it. Padre Pio saw the glory of it. Gemma de Giorgi saw the miracle of it. Now it's your turn to live in the power of it. In the comments below, I want you to make a declaration of faith right now. Jesus, I trust in you. Don't just watch this, act on it. Subscribe if you want to go deeper into the mysteries of the faith, and share this with someone who needs protection today. I'll see you in the next video.